when you're asked, why are you here? That's usually not a good sign. Anyhow, well, let's, looks like we got a good group today. Let's go ahead and get started with today's meeting. Appreciate you all taking the time today to join us. Can't be outside, it's too wet and a little bit chilly, but do thank you for taking the time and being part of our meeting today and here to hear our great speaker that we have today. So first of all, let's start off. I'm gonna twist Paul's arm again to see if he would be willing to do our invocation for us. It's twisting.
I guess so.
It didn't fall off, so.
Nope.
If you would, please, sir.
Let us pray. Lord God, you give us life and call us to serve. You give us love and call us to care. You give us talents and call us to work. You give us resources and call us to share. You give us time and call us to act. You see us in a world of need. Make us instruments of hope, peace, and renewal, that the hurting may be helped, the hungry may be fed, the sick may be healed, and the suffering may find new life by our putting service above self. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Man, he's good at that. As we have been since we started meeting virtually like this, we're going to pass on the song again. So unless everyone wants to sing the Brady Bunch theme, we'll move on from there. Announcements. Want to thank all 25 folks that attended last week's meeting. Appreciate the commitment. Sometimes it's kind of easy to do. Sometimes it's not so easy to be a part of the meeting, but truly do appreciate the effort of you continue to be committed to our club and what we're trying to accomplish. At today's board meeting, I gotta check my notes here. We are going to be discussing how and when we will be able to again meet in person, as we were just talking about a little bit ago. Please keep an eye on the weekly newsletter and our website to know what is going on there and what our plans are. And we're going to do absolutely nothing that we think puts anybody at any risk, and everything we can do to make sure we can continue our mission as a club and to usher in our new president. She's not even on here today, doggone it. Our new president into full speed ahead as we go into the 2021 Rotary year. I'm also happy to announce that Dale Dalton and I met with Reagan Michelson from Information Referral and Assistance Services and got to hand her a really big check. And that was the $1,000 contribution for the food pantries of our community. Reagan was delighted to receive that. And we were delighted to give that to her. And we worked really hard to make sure that we were all 6 feet apart, holding the check with our pinkies, so that we could get that done. But that's one of the fun things about being president, is when you can get to do something like that and you know it's going to do good. And I want to thank all of you for supporting that, and also thank our foundation, headed by President Gary Foster and John Fry. Want to thank them for being our partners in doing that. It's going to do some good for a lot of people with food insecurity issues right now. So thank you all very much for being a part of that. And we'll get to see what good that does in our community. But please be reminded that it ain't over. That if you still as individuals wish to contribute to either the Food Bank of Iowa, as per our district governor's initiative, or to the Riverbend Food Bank down in the Quad Cities, or to the club in furthering the contribution that we made to information referral and assistance services for local food insecurity. You're more than welcome to get your checkbook out, and you're more than welcome that when you pay your quarterly dues to include a little extra in there and direct it as you wish to any one of those objectives, helping with food insecurity all around District 6000 and in our own community. There will be no meeting next week. Jill will probably be on here trying to Zoom with anybody who wishes to, but I'm sure Kelly has a long list of things she wants me to be working on out in the yard, whether it's raining or not. So there will be no meeting on Memorial Day next week. Have a great Memorial Day. I went and spent yesterday, or a good part of Saturday, excuse me, at my mom's grave, and we had a long talk. So it was very, very good. Remember those who are responsible for you being here, and that have done so much for all of us in the military and for us as family members that preceded us. There we go. I can't speak today, it's Monday. Are there any other announcements from the floor? Oh, I see a big hand for Jennifer. Go, Jennifer. Whoops, we got you muted.
Unmute me. There I am. Just to share with fellow Rotarians, our fellow Rotarian, Paula Schneckloff, got married this weekend. So, yay for her.
You looked beautiful.
Is that on purpose?
Yes, it was on purpose. She looked absolutely beautiful. She got married in Eldridge at her house.
At her house. Oh, great. And they properly social distance and everything went. So it's got to be interesting right now. But congratulations. I'm sure there'll be a fine or something coming up here for that. Shouldn't there be? No. No, I'm seeing heads go this, head go this. Okay, all right. Anyhow, well, that's great news. Any other announcements for the club as a whole?
Orland, are you aware Governor Ernest on?
I see her right there, third row down, fourth person over. Hi there, Governor. Glad to have you with us.
It's good to be here in Clinton today. Nice day to be traveling, and good to see all the happy faces and hear about all the good works you're doing.
Thank you very much. We got an email a little over a week ago about the success of your initiative and the drive to help the Food Bank of Iowa. Any update on that?
Oh yes, there are updates daily. Things keep changing because the need is exceeding what we are getting. Although Rotarians are very, very generous. First of all, I want to thank everybody in your club, including yourself, President Brian, for your dedication to food insecurity. And I know and appreciate what you're doing in your own community. As you know, there's the initiative to raise funds for the Food Bank of Iowa, which is basically the main organization that will distribute food to the food pantries in our district, well, all over Iowa, including District 6000, including Riverbend Foods. I think that's where some of your food pantries will get their sources from. The Food Bank of Iowa can buy food, 4 meals for $1. I'm Dutch, I've never mastered that. I can't do that. I don't think McDonald's can do that. I think that's really, really one of the important things to look at. So, but whether you give to your own community food pantry or whether you do it to the food bank, it's all going to a good place, and we all need to step up. We know that there are so many people, we all know people now that have either lost their job or are having challenging times at home to make ends meet. So thank you for doing that. Really, really appreciate that. We're working very hard. When we started it, we started out with with a disaster grant. I read about a disaster grant, and I was for $25,000. And I thought, well, you know, we should go for that. We should try that for our communities. And we did. And thanks to Norland and Brock and some people on the committee, we were able to put something together. We were told pretty quick that funding was already depleted, but we were still in the running if there's a new round of funds is coming in. But I thought, well, we can ask clubs and individuals to see if we can maybe match that. Maybe we have a stronger case. Plus, we can do more with, say, 50,000 if we both do 25. So my goal was to raise $25,000 to match the grant ask. And I have been overwhelmed with the responses. Clubs have really used some of their lunch or food, some of their food money to get to this source. There have been individuals that have been very generous in their giving. And as of to date, we raised $37,000 directly to the Food Bank of Iowa. That is not including the gifts like you did and let me know about of the $1,000 to your food pantry. When I count all of that up, we have another $50,000 that clubs are giving to their food pantries. So we're really making an impact. We're still working on other ways to see how we can make an even bigger impact, because that need is not going to go away. I know you were just talking about what do we do, how do we get back, things are opening up, which is wonderful. We need to move forward. But with the summer coming up, kids still being out of school, there's still a very, very big need. So let's all be supportive of that, and let's just keep going at it and keep doing what we're doing. And Rotarians, stay healthy so you can make that difference. Thank you, President Bryan. Really appreciate the opportunity here to say something about that.
Well, whenever you have great news like that, Governor, we're delighted to have you join us. So thank you very much for sharing. Appreciate that and your efforts in this area. I know food insecurity is important, an important issue to our club. We have, through the Backpack Buddies program here, trying to help school-age children have something nutritious on the weekends, and through what we're doing now in association with your initiative. Yes, it's already an important issue in our community, and it just drives the point home even deeper as to what we need to do. So thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for your comments and updating us on what all is going on in the drive. So
thank you.
Let's hope that there's another round of distributions from international that we can tap into and do even more good. So,
well, we're exploring all the different avenues, so more will be to come, hopefully.
Well, fortunately, you have a guy named Norland
Yep.
in your group helping with that. So we know it's in good hands if he does not get trampled by those buffalo behind him. Anyhow.
Governor
All right.
Erna tamed those buffaloes, Brian.
Pardon?
Governor Erna and Steve tamed the buffalo, so I'm safe.
Okay, good. I feel better now. Okay. Anyhow, any other announcements that anyone wishes to share? All righty. Well, in that case, I'm not going to make you listen to me anymore. I'm going to turn this over to Mary Connell for a minute so that Mary can introduce, hang on, wait just a second. I'm going to turn it over to Mary so that she can introduce our speaker today.
Hello, everyone. I'd like you to welcome Ted Tornow, who drove so far to come and see us and present for us today. And he is going to talk about the state of the Lumberkings, and probably reach out to you folks for a little help of support. So with that, I think you all know Ted Tornow, general manager of the Lumberkings. So
Hey,
I'll turn it over to him.
Thanks, Mary.
I'm talking to that.
Oh, talking? No, I'm talking. Thank you for the invite, and I've done a few of these Zooms, so I'd like to say I'm a pro at this, but I'm not, so I'm kind of learning like everybody else. I kept looking up at the TV, noticing that the camera was down here, so I'll try to look into the camera. I'd love to say that we're in first place and that we played, 60-some games so far, and we've got an all-star slugger first baseman that's leading the league in home runs and RBIs, and a great pitching staff. But the reality is we're not doing any of that. As this crazy world that we live in has caused disruption in everybody's lives, we're not immune to that. And baseball is that wonderful sport where everybody gets together and sits 2 feet apart or sits 2 inches apart and, roots for the home team. So we're as damaged of a business as maybe a lot of the ones that are out there. And I'm not asking for pity, but just been a lot of questions. Since October, there's been a hit list of 42 clubs across the country that have been identified as having, by Major League Baseball, no chance of going after into the 2021 season. That's too far ahead for me, and I'll get to that a little bit later, but I just want to get 2020 going. Tomorrow has its own troubles of their own. Today I need to concentrate on. So what we've done in the meantime is some of you have partaken in it, is our curbside concessions every Thursday. We're working with the governor's office and our local city hall in trying to get something maybe out at the stadium, depending on the rules, and it seems they change every day in terms of the relaxation of social distancing and what we can do and can't do. I know our friends across the river have maybe a stricter set of policies than we do over here in Iowa, but I think it's dependent on what side of the river you live on and what can and can't be done. So we're trying to stay active. We're trying to make it more of a community event with some events non-baseball related at the stadium. So that's kept us pretty busy. We've done a fair share with the concessions, as I mentioned on Thursday, and we're actually selling a lot of souvenirs. Brian, you had your hat on, and I know we've boxed up about 20 orders. So our non-baseball business is okay. We were fortunate enough to get the PPP monies in, and that's going to carry us through well into the fall. We've lost a few staff members, not by them being fired, but I think just a family issue that he took a different job down in the Quad Cities. It was better for his family. They lived out in DeWitt. Our broadcaster just left today. Is his first day gone. He's taken a junior college job out in Wyoming, and that's good for his broadcast career, and it gets him maybe something a little bit more stable. As I mentioned, our industry right now is in a state of flux. So Major League Baseball wants to play games now with no fans to take advantage of their $5 billion television contract. So they're fighting with the union, with the players' union, in terms of what the fair equity share would be. I know the players, as well as former players that have been in that union, and they'll never ever accept a salary cap of sorts. Is it fair to the fans out in the community and just baseball fans in general that have to have their baseball fixed? Depending on what side of the argument you're on, it could be yes, it could be no. But I know for us, we're reliable, or relying on Major League Baseball to tell us, when you can start. And with as many troubles as there are in the industry with what's going on with the television and the players, minor league baseball, unfortunately, has taken a back seat. They have other issues to contend with, and their major league players are going to be number one on top of their list. So I would love to say that we're going to have some baseball in July, like they're trying to start, Major League starting in July 1st. There's no guarantee of that. I'd like to think that we could get 2 months worth, maybe the months of August and September as a plan B. Plan C is probably no baseball at all. But that's the kind of world we're in. I mean, you all have your own relative stories in your industries and your businesses and your personal lives of major disruptions going on. This is just, we're not immune to that. And as much as I'd love to say that we've been able to carry on in a normal way, we haven't. We've had to make some changes just like everybody else. So again, not a plea for pity, but just more an update as to what's going on. What the future holds, I don't have an answer for you. and I'm going to be honest with you. We're talking with our legislators, and I'm going to allude to some conversation that we had with Senator Grassley that both Mary and I had in regards to the future of the franchise. The only people that Major League Baseball will listen to, they won't listen to our mayor. They don't listen to the governors. They don't listen to really anybody but the people that gave them the power. And the people that gave them the power are the representatives in the U.S. House of Representatives. In our area, it's Dave Loebsack. And the U.S. Senators, Senators Ernst and Senator Grassley. They gave them the extension of the Sherman Antitrust Act back in 1938. Gives them exempt powers of basically being their own monopoly. They also extended 2 years ago, as part of the whatever it was, $1 trillion budget, the Save America Pastime Act. Our players only make $1,250 a month in this level, in low A. What that Save America Pastime Act enabled them to do, Major League Baseball to do, was extend that pay. If you think of the hours that they spend, our players spend at the ballpark, you can do the math and just know that they're making about $4 an hour. Political pressure would enable or would push Major League Baseball to spend more money, at least on a workable minimum wage, for these players. Major League Baseball skews it as being a chance of a lifetime to participate in this game and work their way up to the major leagues, where they enjoy the minimum. The salary for a major league player is $550,000. I know I don't make that much. I'd like to think there's probably relatively few of the individuals on this call that are making that amount. I'd love to say I do, but I don't. Brian can attest to that, and so can Dale. So, I mean, the bottom line is if there is any political pressure to be done, it's going to have to be done sometime in the next couple of weeks, or at least our current PBA ends September 30th. But there's been so much talk since October, going through the winter, and this was in a normal year when we could play. But we've lost all our legs. As I mentioned, minor league baseball is contingent upon Major League Baseball sending us the players. At least Major League Baseball has the opportunity to play games in front of no fans, shown on television, and you could just dial up, whatever Major League Baseball extra innings package on Dish Network or DirecTV or what have you. That's money coming in. What we're doing now is basically, with the concessions and the souvenirs, is survival mode. And I think a lot of you businesses out there are doing the exact same thing. But it's again, that's just the world we live in. So in terms of the political pressure, once Major League Baseball decides there is no season, they're just going to go into this next phase of eliminating the 42 clubs out there. In our league, it's us in Burlington. We've been told that since October. So really, it's no new news. But as I mentioned, with Mary's help and contacts that we've had on a weekly basis with our legislators, including the governor, including the state attorney general, Tom Miller, our local representatives, our state senator, Chris Canoyer, and our local representatives, Norland Momsen and Mary Wolf. Everybody's in on this. I've kept them abreast of everything going on, the good and the bad. I don't know what's going to happen. I can pretty much assure you across the country there'll probably be several lawsuits. So in terms of what 2021 holds, I don't have the answer. I mean, I could look into my little crystal ball and say that maybe the political pressure or the public pressure of the socioeconomic drivers in each one of those 42 communities might be enough to change their mind, especially after this pandemic. As I mentioned, if we're playing, we've got legs underneath us. We've got revenues coming in. We're impacting our communities in a positive way like we always have. But without that, we have no legs. Major League Baseball has used this pandemic to basically as a good excuse to eliminate the 42 markets out there. It's not a good feeling. It's never a good feeling not to be wanted. Our economic impact to this community is about $6.5 million. And we're the smallest market in all of professional baseball. I know Burlington and us, we go back and forth with each other. But just imagine the other economic impacts being lost on each one of the other 40 markets across the country. Will we have baseball of some sort in 2021? I can emphatically say yes, okay? Will it be what we're used to with the affiliations going back my time here with the Reds or the Expos or the Rangers, the Mariners, or the Marlins. That's up for debate right now. I mean, we're struggling to stay in affiliated ball. Could we take the route of an independent league? Could we take the route of a college wood bat league? For those of you in the know, you can refer to the Northwoods League. There's a team in Waterloo. There's teams in old Midwest League cities like Madison, Kenosha, Wisconsin Rapids, and Waterloo. And you could say we could go that route. Have discussions been held with those people? No, we have not had any serious negotiations about anything other than going forward and trying to play 2020. But as we get closer towards the end of the season, and with this pandemic still gripping a lot of the states, and again, President Trump has made it clear each state has their own. Iowa's a little bit more liberal. Illinois, a little stricter. Michigan, I think, is probably in our league the strictest one. So some of their activities are shut down through the end of July. Don't hold me to that, but I think I heard from their GM, and it might not have been Michigan, it might have been Ohio. But you can get the scene that if baseball does return this year, it's going to be in a very limited format. But that flattening of the curve is going to happen very shortly. But we're doing our part. We're looking at other events, as I mentioned before. So I can entertain any questions if anybody has. But one more thing with the legislative action. If you want to reach out to me or to Mary, you can. We can forward you the addresses. I have them all, and Mary I know does too, for Senators Grassley, Ernst, and Loebsack. And voice your opinion. Share a story. Share what it means to you. Share what our club means to you, or even if you came from a different market and you've had experiences with other minor league clubs in your travels or your lifetime, by all means, share it to them. Because as I mentioned, the only people that's going to put the hammer down on Major League Baseball are going to be the people that gave them the power to start with. And that's our U.S. House of Representatives and our U.S. Senators. So I'm open for discussions, comments, questions from anybody.
Hey, Ted, Dennis Lauber.
Hey, Dennis.
Hey, just for the sake of everybody listening, I would echo the comments you've had and referencing the conversations you and I have had with Senator Grassley and with his staff. I would tell everybody that a key thing to know when you're talking to Senator Grassley or his staff, he grew up in the Waterloo area. He grew up watching minor league baseball in Waterloo. And there is a part of him that is still very irritated by the fact that the Waterloo team was taken away and is now in Lansing, Michigan. And his key staff person that Ted and I have both talked to multiple times about this, she grew up in Waterloo, and there is a part of her that is extremely still irritated about that Waterloo lost their team to Lansing, Michigan. So I would just say, as people or anybody on this is hearing this, would have a chance to talk to Senator Grassley or his staff person, work into the narrative and remind them what happened to Waterloo's baseball team. That puts fire in the belly of Senator Grassley and his staff on this issue.
Great point, Dennis. You're right, and I'm glad that you mentioned that because, again, not getting political here, but Senator Grassley is, for those of you that are political, is the third ranking, I guess, from the president, vice president, and then you have Senator Grassley. When he barks, people seem to move, and that's in no way disrespect to Representative Loebsack or to Senator Ernst. But again, calling a committee, and we've all seen it on C-SPAN, we've all seen it on, whatever reality TV shows, getting a panel of congressmen and congresswomen and getting Major League Baseball out in front of them to answer questions would be my idea of an ideal day, because we've never been told why little old Clinton, Iowa was on this hit list. We've been given some maybe assumptions. We're not big enough. The ballpark doesn't meet standards, which I don't agree with. The visiting clubhouse may have had some issues with some flooding between the city and us. I know we've dumped about $50,000 into the visitors clubhouse. and the city is on the touching finishing edges of that $1 million pump system in the RV campground park. So if you see a bunch of mud there behind Dairy Queen and Wendy's back in that area closest to the tracks, that's what's going on. So that's going to help mitigate any of the issues. I know the heavy rains we had the last couple of days, I pretty much slept at the ballpark worrying about flooding issues, but we should have that mitigated. But Dennis, thanks for that update on Senator Grassley. Anybody else? Norland, you had a comment or question or whatever?
Well, I think you just kind of answered it. I was going to ask you, what's the primary reason Clinton and Burlington were being focused on population-based facilities? But it's amazing to me they have not given you any sort of aspect of why.
Now, I mean, if you in our industry, if you go back and look, you're going to see the big push of a lot of the cities that never had minor league baseball. Go and look at the roster of the Midwest League in 1960 or 1970. You're going to see cities like Clinton. Lansing, Michigan, as Dennis mentioned, never had baseball until the ownership group bought Waterloo and moved it there. Fort Wayne, Indiana. Now, some of these bigger cities may have had teams in different leagues, but at least in our league, I could tell you Quincy, Illinois, Decatur, Dubuque, they all had teams. And for one reason or the other, they lost them. We've been fortunate, and I think it's because our community ownership. We've been going since 1937. You know, during the war years, there was industrial leagues played, but the business as such has been in business since 1937. And so, again, no reason, but I think it's just the shift towards bigger markets, better ballparks. You know, I don't know what's wrong with our ballpark. We were listed on several sites as being a top place to watch a game if you're a baseball purist. You know, no offense to my brother team down in the Quad Cities. We don't have a Ferris wheel. We don't have a carousel. We just play baseball. And we're a meeting place for people, you know, companies to have their outings and season ticket holders to bring their grandkids and their children and their neighbors out to enjoy a game and good fresh air and a baseball game. And I think that's what we're going back towards. Again, in 2021, it may be a different version of that. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to try to tell you something different. But right now we're focused on 2020. And I'll worry about 2021 once this, I'll just say fiasco is over with. But it'll probably come to a head sometime shortly, hence the plea for your calls to Senator Grassley and to Senator Ernst and Representative Lopes.
And this is Norland again, I would just mention, last year I took my grandson down to the Cardinals game, being a Cardinals fan. I mean, you're talking about $100 and some bucks for a ticket. You're talking about motel rooms. You're talking about serious dollars to take your family to a ball game. I can take them down to Clinton, enjoy the natural grass, enjoy the scenery. And I think it's what, $7 for a seat or something like that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And if you hit our Tuesdays and Thursdays just right, you could get a beer from Dale or Brian at the beer stand for $2. So, I mean, you know, what better way to spend an afternoon or an evening? So.
Hey, Ted, Ryan Veenstra here.
Hey, Wiener.
Hey, before COVID, what kind of traction were you getting with Grassley's office? And like, is that a fairy tale, or do you think that you were really making some headwind with that? And then walk me through, like, if they're able to change that. I mean, do they even have the power to change that? Are they going to even entertain it? I mean, what are they saying? Are they giving you lip service, or you think it's actually working?
Well, the whole concept of political involvement started with Representative Trahan in Lowell, Massachusetts. Lowell is owned by the Lowell team is owned by Dave Heller, and he has a good relationship with Representative Trahan. So really, it started in the House, and then it blossomed over to the Senate. It went to the governors. Any political pressure, as I said, Ryan, that's the only people they're going to listen to. And really, the people that gave them the power is the Senate, is the House of Representatives, and the U.S. Senators. That's all they care about. And so in talking with all three of the aforementioned, we had a lot of legs. We had a lot of people. We had a lot of teams, not only the 42, but also we wanted to keep at least 160 or 150. The Appalachian League, getting into a little more detail than maybe I want to, but the Appalachian League is owned by all of the major league clubs. They could wipe those out and we still could have had 150 affiliated franchises out there, okay? But now with no games being played, the value, and you could tell it in your own business, okay? The valuation of your business back in October, let's say, was $20 million, okay? Well, the valuation of your business or franchise in our case is definitely not $20 million today, okay? We've got no revenue coming in, sans for a couple, nights and some other stuff coming in. Our expenses are down, obviously. We're not paying our employees. We don't have games. We don't have employees. We don't have costs associated with that. But we're also losing out on all that revenue, okay? So our valuation, as much as everybody's business is, you can see where that's funneled down. Instead of 20, let's say it's down to 16 or even $15 million. So we don't have any power. We don't have any push. The only thing we have is our voices, and the people that we elect in Washington, D.C. have to carry that for us. And that's what we're relying on. I'd like to think that we have not gotten lip service from Loebsack, Ernst, and Grassley, respectively. I think they fully comprehend and understand that Major League Baseball wants to keep that exemption. They want to keep that Sherman antitrust exemption. They don't want to lose that. And they certainly do not want to keep paying, or they don't want to pay the minor league players that minimum salary, whatever wage that state is in. In Iowa, it's, I think, $7.50 or whatever, $8, okay? Those players are at the stadium 9-10 hours a day, okay? You might as well triple or double or quadruple what they're paying these players now. And that's just, is it a lot of money? Once you add it up for every player and every organization, that adds up to a bunch of money that they really don't want to pay. And again, they're going to have their arguments of what they want to do, and they want to control it. The other thing that I didn't mention, back in October, it was just 42 clubs. Now the latest is, because of the pandemic, and that's my opinion only, but I think it carries a lot of weight. Major League Baseball wants to get rid of our whole minor league baseball structure. Our offices are in Tampa, St. Pete. They want to eliminate all of basically our commissioner, all of our support staff. They want to get rid of our league presidents. That wasn't on the table in October. So Ryan, to answer your question specifically, yes, they've come in and they've pretty much laid all their cards on the table. Now they've doubled down with these recent, not accusations, but they're just like, well, we want to control everything there is to do with baseball. So we're going to monitor these new leagues. They're the leagues as we know it. The Midwest League as we know it may not even have some of the teams in it as we know it now. Some AA franchises may get moved up to AAA, some AAA down to AA or high A. They want to restructure everything. All the ticketing would be done there, all the marketing, everything. It's a control. And we've had a minor league association since 1901. But again, our legs are out from under us. We're flailing in the water and in the wind. We have no legs. And so the only people that could save us, in my opinion, are the ones that gave Major League Baseball the power to start with, and that's our legislators.
Is that renewed then, like every year, or how often is that renewed?
Well, the PBA was signed, and it's been a series of, it was signed, I think, originally as a 5-year deal, but as we got into the 3rd or 4th year, it was a 2-year extension, okay? It ends September 30th of 2020, okay? But that's why Major League Baseball, starting in October of 19, came through and said, hey, here's our plans. We're going to get rid of 42 of you and restructure it, okay? That was okay. I mean, it wasn't okay by me, but then now with the pandemic, they've doubled down and said, we're going to control everything. We're going to take over the minor league baseball offices. So, that's where we're at now. And the power, we don't have any. And I'm not going to lie to you and say we do. Our power is in our voice and in our actions, as Dennis mentioned, to reach out to Senators Grassley and Ernst and the Loebsack to say, hey, we love our team here. It's an economic driver. It's a quality of life issue. And they're the only ones that can stop it. I mean, with due respect to Governor Reynolds, she made a call and they pretty much told her she didn't know what she was talking about. Same thing with other elected officials, okay? They don't care. Their arrogance is appalling. So, hope that answered your question, Ryan.
But what I'm saying is, was there any? I mean, was it in committee at all before the COVID, like with the in the Senate to change things, or are they just listening to you and not doing anything?
Well, I think they were waiting on Major League Baseball. There was discussions with the negotiating team on our side with Major League Baseball, and the political pressure came in, and of course, Major League Baseball didn't like that. We were told to basically back off with our political pressure by Major League Baseball. So if they told us back before the pandemic that to back off from political pressure, to me, that indicates that they didn't want to hear from the people that actually could do something about it. So again, the pandemic hit, everybody's legs are out in the minor leagues. We don't have any legs. We don't have any power. So we have to go back to our legislators and say, hey, so as you mentioned in committee, there's been, they've been kept up to date since October, the legislators, okay? So the House passed a resolution saying to Major League Baseball, you should keep these 42. The Senate did the same thing. The governors did the same thing. The mayors across the country did the same thing. So politically, everybody's on board. The only people that I think are not on board, obviously, is Major League Baseball. So again, the only people that they'll listen to is the people that gave them the power. So we've been in committees, we've been in discussions. I've been on Zoom calls like this as it relates to Clinton and Burlington being out, and I know my peer down in Burlington shares the same thoughts that we do. But we don't know why we've been on this list, but the fact is we're on this list, and we're fighting like you know what to not be on this list and to keep affiliated ball here in Clinton.
Ted, should we go so far as to, what are your thoughts about giving out, or people could contact me and get the contact information of the staff person, in particular with Senator Grassley's office. And I'm thinking if we kind of flood her with some emails, it continues to stir the pot a little bit, because she told you and me both, she takes those emails and forwards those directly onto his private email address.
Right. Yeah, I would say anything and everything, whether it's a handwritten letter, an email, anything, it won't hurt. Anything that can be done to voice support would be great and much appreciated.
Dennis and Mary, if you guys want to send me that information, I can put it in the newsletter. And Ted, I have to say,
I will do that. I will forward you the contact information of the staff person in Washington, D.C.
Thank you.
And Dennis, as a show of respect to Senator Ernst and DeLopsac, I think we should include them in as well.
And Ted, as you know, I am a frequent flyer on Thursdays for their curbside pickup. And it's on my calendar to go this Thursday. So I want to thank you for offering that. It's been fun to see the stadium and to get out of the house. And I have been doing the $25 where you get the bobblehead, and I just got Tyler O'Neill last week.
There you go. There you go.
We will be doing that every Thursday as long as we can.
Yeah, we you know, it's kind of a brainstorm idea, and it's caught on fire per se, and we want to do more. We want to do more than just those Thursdays. So we're hoping we can talk with our city and county officials and state officials and maybe do some other things other than playing baseball, which obviously we love to be doing, but in lieu of that, some other activities. But thanks, Jill. Appreciate it. Great crowd. No questions. All right. Okay.
Well, that's because you answer so thoroughly, Ted. So you do a great job. And as a huge baseball fan, as a business person in our community, as a board member of the Lumberkings, I want to thank you for everything that you and your staff are doing to try to keep baseball, affiliated baseball, alive and well and prospering in our community. Thank you so much. It's I know it's kind of a labor of love for you, but unfortunately it's also a labor of necessity. And just really want to thank you for all you and your folks do. So
appreciate it, Ryan. I'm just crazy enough not to say uncle. I'm not going to give up. I can assure you that I'm not going to give up.
I didn't doubt that one bit. Anyhow, any other questions for our speaker today? All right, I'm going to urge each of you to go watch Bull Durham a league of their own.
Field
One
of
my
Dreams.
favorite- Thank you. Field of Dreams, For Love of the Game, for any, if you want to see another baseball game with Kevin Costner. Watch any one of those and then contact either one of our senators or our representative. And heck, even if you have some ties on the other side of the river, can we have them try to push our representative over in Fulton?
That's a great idea too, and I'd be remiss to say that we're in a city of 27,000 people. We draw from all over. We draw from across the pond. So, and actually, that I-88 corridor is our biggest, other than Clinton, Comanche, DeWitt area. That's our biggest fan base. Okay, so yes, reaching across reaching across the other side, yes, most definitely. And Sherry Bustos is well aware of what we're doing, and Senators Durbin and Duckworthy are well aware of that as well. But reaching out to them again, and I think between Dennis and Mary and I, we can get that accomplished. Dennis, you got your ears on?
Yes, I do.
Okay, let's include all 6. Dennis, if you're going to spearhead that for me and for us, maybe shoot it over to Mary and I, and we can take just a peek at it. I can go through my notes and we can get that out to everybody, to Jill, and then gets dispersed out to everybody. So
We'll do it.
great idea.
I've got an email about half written to you already, Ted. So coming your way very soon.
Okay, thanks, Dennis.
All right, terrific. Thank you all for joining us today. I think we'll wrap up our meeting. Want to thank Paul for doing Invocation. Want to thank Mary and Dale for arranging for our speaker today. Ted, I really want to thank you for taking the time to join us today. Madam Secretary, do we have a book that can be sent to Ted for him to sign so that we can contribute that to the library?
I'll drop it off on Thursday when I pick up my food.
I'll be in the car right behind you in line picking up mine.
You got it.
So I need a couple more bobbleheads yet, so I'll be there too. Anyway, thank you again, Ted. So we will wrap up with the 4-way test as we usually do. And again, be on the lookout for your weekly newsletter and keep an eye on the website. We are having a board meeting immediately following this meeting. And Madam Secretary, how do we stay on here for that meeting, or we got a different one to go to?
There's a different one. I emailed out to the board members, and it should be also on our website, but if anyone needs it, they can email me.
All right.
Sorry.
Hopefully all board members heard that. Okay. So if we can, let's wrap up with the 4-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Did you mute everybody still?
They have to unmute themselves, I think.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll try this one more time. Of the things we think, say, or do. First,
Is it
the truth? Oh, much better. Second,
Is
is
it
it fair to all concerned? Third,
Will it build
goodwill
better
and better friendship?
and fourth,
Will it be
Will it be
beneficial?
beneficial
To all concerned.
meeting adjourned. Go out and safely connect the world. Thank you all for joining us. Have a great week. See you Thursday night in line at the Lumberkings to pick up your garbage pails. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.
Bye.